Welcome everyone to this edition of Connect, the weekly podcast for the California MBA. This is our podcast featuring movers and shakers in the mortgage industry with one-on-one interviews. I'm Susan Milazzo, CEO of the California MBA, and I'm very happy that you can join us for today's presentation. But before we get into our guest, I'd like to thank our sponsor for the Connect podcast, Incelerate. Incelerate helps lenders close more loans through better borrower engagement, the mortgage industry's most innovative customer experience platform, which delivers lead management, sales enablement, engagement, a robust mortgage-specific content library, and data intelligence, all in one comprehensive and highly scalable platform. Incelerate delivers dynamic technology, strategy, and content for every channel of your business to ensure engagement throughout the customer journey, whether it be your borrowers, referral partners, or any other party to the loan transaction. This dynamic enterprise solution seamlessly fits into your tech stack due to their advanced API connectivity, modern design, and open architecture. Gone are the days of managing multiple and separate systems and having your data trapped in data silos. This innovative platform allows you to provide your internal and external customers timely, relevant information based on data intelligence to build repeatable outcomes at each stage of the customer's journey. Close more loans, improve borrower conversions, enhance customer retention, transform your customer acquisition lifestyle, and create customers for life. For more information, you can go to incelerate.com. And so that brings us to today's podcast. I'm very happy to be welcoming my friend Maria Moskver, who is President and Chief Legal Officer at Cloudvirga. Hi, Maria.
Hi, Susan.
I'm so glad that you could join us today. So I really like to start off and just kind of getting a little background on people. Where did you get your start and how did you get into the industry?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. So my story, I think, is, as everybody says, is an interesting one. We were immigrants here from Russia during the Cold War. And I think when you leave everything behind, you don't take things for granted. So I've taken every little opportunity that I've had in my life and tried to make something of it. And I got some good advice over the years. I happened to be in graduate school doing JD MBA for whatever reason at that time. And one of my professors from undergraduate said, you need to meet this woman who started her own business. She's also an econ alum from Colorado College. You should go work for her. I said, okay, love to meet her because I really wanted to work during graduate school. Don't ask me why. This is what I mean by I don't take things for granted. I just go and go. So this was during the dot-com era, believe it or not, and this was my first startup. There were 4 of us when I started. It was a company called Murray Hill. And we built a patented credit risk software. So I really got started in technology pretty early on in '98. And that was the mortgage industry. We did that for issuers and investors. So that was during the days of crazy mortgage-backed securities. I mean, way pre-Dodd-Frank. The amount of deals that we were written into on a monthly basis with Lehman, Bear Stearns, a lot of companies that no longer exist today. It's fascinating. And I stayed in the industry ever since then, you know, primarily on the technology services side. And most recently, before Cloudvirga, I built a compliance division at a company called Walls that we sold to private equity and became part of Lender Live. And then I stayed with Lender Live for a while, for 7 years. So I think really I've just been passionate about this industry and trying to, ever since I learned about compliance that early on. I mean, compliance didn't exist, right, in 1998. In between, I forgot to mention this, I worked for a company in the services side, and I got to testify all over the country in front of the DOJ. I was still a pretty young lawyer at the time. This, again, pre-Dodd-Frank, pre-crisis. but they were really starting to look at the mortgage industry at that time. And I think that's really where I learned the value of compliance and how meaningful it is to have that structure and think about it in your business.
Right, right, and it's so, I mean, just increasingly so. My background's in politics in California, and when I first came to the association, I was, have always been a big advocate of, finding out what our legislative program is and compliance issues, because I mean, this is, very serious business for the mortgage industry, and that's a fascinating start that you had at a young age to be exposed to all of that. So moving forward, you were named HousingWire's 2018 one of their Women of Influence, noting your years of work in compliance and regulatory matters for the financial services industry. And in 2020, you were named one of the top 20 most powerful women in Fintech, which was an amazing award and recognition. So congratulations. But I have to ask, I mean, how do you react to those types of awards, and what has that meant for your career?
Thank you. I'm definitely very humbled to receive these awards. I think, again, going back to the opportunities that I've had in my life and the great people that I've met and great teams that I've worked with, I think it's a testament to all of that. It's also the innovative companies that I've been able to work with. I kind of think of the awards as, I mean, twofold. It's definitely, it shows that you've done a good service for your clients or for the industry. It's just an affirmation of that, right? But at the same time, for me, it's a barometer that I'm still staying relevant and ahead of the industry and trying to think of, what else is there. In this case, for me, it's technology. I think we have a lot of room to grow in mortgage and technology. We're getting there. After watching it for 20 some years, I think that we still have a lot left to do, and I'm excited to continue down that path. I also realize how important it is to set an example for other women, and I have 2 daughters in high school, so for them as well. And I appreciate the industry very much.
Well, just the advancement of technology in the mortgage space is so exciting. We've launched our mortgageinnovators.com website, and we're just so proud of how much, what kind of traction we're getting with that. So, we're wrapping up 2021 here in a few weeks. I can't believe it. Time just goes by so quick. But what do you see on the horizon for Cloudvirga in 2022?
So we were recently acquired by Stewart Information Services, and I think I'm really excited to see the future with them. I think it's been a really good move for us. We're no longer, quote unquote, in startup mode. We're part of a much larger, wonderful organization. I think our priorities are building the wholesale platform. We're also making improvements to the retail platform. Ultimately, I think Stewart's vision is to do the end-to-end consumer platform as they've articulated in certain messages. And I think that's why they've done the acquisitions that they have. So we're excited to be part of that vision.
That's great. That's great. Yeah, that will be exciting for the company for sure. So, we've talked, much of your career, as you've mentioned, has been centered around regulatory compliance for the residential mortgage industry. So what do you think's top of mind for the new CFPB director?
I mean, he has a strong regulatory background. I think given his background in student lending, he's likely to focus there for sure. He's articulated that numerous times. I think Ujio, the interim director, also articulated several areas of focus, such as credit reporting, debt collection, small dollar lending, any of the kind of post-COVID issues. I do also think probably most important for our industry is the fintech aspects, right? And big data and data security and how that all plays in. Because the definition of fintech, financial technology, is already ambiguous, right? And I think there'll be a focus on the lending side of it, especially from a fair lending perspective, right? Because as you build in this artificial intelligence, what does that look like from a fair lending perspective? I don't think anyone really knows the answer to that yet, and they're going to be looking closely at that. And data security, our industry has been pretty thankfully shielded from it, but it's a huge focus, obviously, nationwide and internationally. So I do think that they will keep an eye on that and make sure that as data is being transferred, it's secure.
Right. Yeah, that, data security is something everybody has to really always, invest and reinvest in, like, what's the new thing that's coming out there, because that's a huge risk. But lots of emphasis on that. I agree with you on fair lending, fair servicing. I think that the federal regulator will be kind of focused on both of those aspects going into 22. So lots of good things for our members in the industry to be thinking about. So Maria, you and I have known each other for several years, and you've been a very active member with the California MBA. In fact, you were most recently elected secretary of our Legal Issues Committee, so congratulations on that. I look forward to working with you to execute the activities of our Legal Issues Committee going forward. But can you share with our listeners kind of why you volunteered with the California MBA?
Absolutely. I think that again, going back to my pre-compliance, compliance days, I see the value that the California MBA brings in educating and supporting and advocating for the industry. Having worked a lot with regulators before, I know that very often the regulations have the consumer in mind and doing what's best for the consumer. But sometimes they need to take into consideration the perspectives of the industry that they may not necessarily have thought about, how it will actually play out operationally, right? Operationalizing the regulations that they put in, and any impacts of the regulations that are implemented. And I think getting that feedback from the California MBA, the National MBA, is critical, and they welcome that. I think the California MBA does just a fantastic job at advocating. It's a very impressive group, and I look forward to serving on the Legal Issues Committee in that capacity.
Thank you. Yeah, it's definitely the cornerstone of our association, and we will be talking about hot compliance issues and what's in store for our legislative agenda at our upcoming Legal Issues and Reg Compliance Conference that's happening at the beginning of December in San Diego. So hopefully our listeners can join us at that event as well. Well, Maria, thank you so much for being a guest on Connect. We greatly appreciate it, and all of your support that you have provided the association over the years. Thank you all for joining us today. To access Connect podcast episodes, you can follow our YouTube channel. We're also available on SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, and Spotify. And we'll be back next week with another episode of Connect. Have a great rest of your day. Here we go.